I always think that there's not one way to look at real life, or as David Crystal mentioned yesterday, what is the fact of today. And I looked on the web and I found some things that other people think about as what is being professional and what's important about that. And I think a lot of them fit very well for what we should be doing in our job and making sure that we do it in a way that isn't like what we heard from Mark about how do people look and when they go in and are they talking about the fight they had with their wife yesterday evening or whatever else. One of those things was that we respect the views of others. I don't know about you, but I grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania. I can tell you a lot about cows and milk and cheese and all those kinds of things. But when I work now with people who build highways in Germany, or people who do things very, very different from what I do, there's not only lots of things to consider that are differences because of the fields we work in. Like I've learned about what whisper asphalt is recently, for example. But what values do we have? Living in a culture that's not my own, and having done that for half of my life now, it's very interesting to see how different we are and how important respect is. What we do in the classroom, what we do outside of the classroom, and how we act in any kind of interaction with our clients. A professional considers the needs of others. A lot of people have mentioned this before, finding out what the client really needs, deciding what it is that will really help him express himself in English. A real professional is empathetic and non-judgmental. Maybe the priest, part of what Mark was saying before. That we listen, and we listen to what people say, and we don't judge them for that. And we try to feel the way they feel to help them learn to express themselves better. If we're going to be in business, and we look at the morals and the ethics that are coming up more and more and more in large corporations, the idea of acting fairly, as Rita Duncan was saying also maybe for us, being paid fairly, yeah, it has a lot to do with that as well. Another aspect I think that's very important is trust. We learn a lot of things about clients in this priest part, or the company is doing things that other people aren't supposed to know about, but we know about it. And we expect people to trust us, and I think we should be able to be trusting others. We have to be competent. That's why we have the shoe at the beginning. That's why we're here. That's why we're learning more and more things to continue to be competent. Mark had this wonderful quote about a sense of purpose. I agree with you that it's not the only thing we have to have, but I think business people who are very target or goal-oriented, and by the end of the year they must do this and this and this, if we don't understand what that means and can't show that we have some kind of feeling for that, it becomes very difficult. The most important thing, and I had a wonderful experience with this last night at dinner, was the ability to tolerate ambiguity. Last night we had a big discussion at my table about what are neeps and tatters. Me not being from this part of the world at all, I had real problems. Tatters I heard about from somebody, but neeps. But what I found interesting was lots of other people who were born and raised on this part of the world also didn't know what neeps were. We were walking around, and David Crystal didn't know exactly what neeps were, although we asked. But someone went and checked it online and found out it was Swedes. Well, if you'd said a few years to me ago, Rhonda, those are Swedes, I would have said, what, they're from Sweden? Because in my part of the world, those things are not called Swedes, they're called rutabagas. But I had to learn Swedes, and I have to live with the fact that different people in different parts of the English-speaking world have a different name for this vegetable. So last night I learned we ate potatoes and Swedes, or rutabagas, or what other nice words there are maybe for this vegetable. We have prescriptive and descriptive grammar. We have all kinds of things in our lives that are ambiguous. And if we accept that, then we can also adapt to the situation we're in. Today and tomorrow I'll keep saying neeps, because this part of the world uses that term. I adapt to what's going on because people demand different things of me, and because we need to make sure that we give the things to the people that they need, and not only what we need. I've lived in Germany now for 26 years. I studied German 7.5 years in university before I came here. And people often think of me as a walking dictionary because I'm completely bilingual. And people walk up to me and say, Rhonda, what is the English word for, like, whisper asphalt? I didn't even know whisper asphalt existed until I found out from the company that I'm working for that they created it together with the university. Well, then there's a good reason why I don't know what the name of it is. The other thing that's important is, though, that I have to be comfortable with not knowing everything. Because if we work in a business situation, we never know everything. There are just too many things that get shot at us all the time, and we have to feel comfortable with the fact that, yes, we need to check on the internet, or yes, we need to ask somebody because we don't know. And once we get over that thing of not having to know everything, it makes our lives much easier. And what I've been doing with you today, and I think something we do far too seldom, that was one of the reasons that I wanted to structure my presentation this way, is that professionals reflect on their work. They take time to sit down and think about, what am I doing? And how is it benefiting others? And what is it helping me to do better in my life, in my climbing up the mountain? Recently, I was invited to a conference in Germany for trainers, a German speaking conference. I also train things in German. And the gentleman who organized the conference is the head of a very creative publishing company in Germany. And when we had to send out our name and our company details and everything, he said, please write something so that I can put it on your badge under your name before your company, one line. Because when you speak to people at this conference, I want you to be able to talk about more than my name is, I live in. I want you to talk about something with this person that is important for you in training. I thought, oops, now I have to come up with something really creative because people are going to come up to me and look at my name and it's going to be difficult enough anyway because nobody can pronounce my name very well in Germany. And the second thing is, what am I going to write on this badge? And I came up with something because I said, nobody will know my company. I'm a one-woman show. That's okay. But I came up with bells. I came up with words to help people find out who I was and what was important for me in training. And the B was for believe. Knowing about what you do, understanding about what you do, believing in what you do. The E, I wrote excite. Do you remember when you were a kid? Do you remember what happened when you did this? And you blew bubbles? Do you remember how nice it was running around? Whose bubble stayed the longest? Whose bubble was the biggest? How did it look in the sun, which we don't have today? Feel that excitement. Remember how important it is to know what you're doing, but to feel good about it. And to be doing it in a way that makes you happy. Then I thought, well, it's Easter. And my first L in the name of my company for laughing. I love this little guy. He's wonderful. When I teach in companies, people always say, Rhonda, we know which conference room you're in. It's where the people always laugh. Nobody laughs here otherwise. For me, a very important part of my USP is humor. And I think laughing is something we need to be doing a lot of. My second L was for love. For loving what we do. For loving the fact that we help people to make themselves better. And the last S, the S was really difficult for me. And then I said, those are things that I do now, or things I think I've been doing all the time. But what do we need to be doing in the future, and why are we here? Because we need to stretch. We need to stretch what we're doing now. We need to go beyond that, and that's why we're here today. Somebody, I have the same problem as Mark. I found this on the internet, but I can't find out who said it. Somebody said, the mark of a true professional is giving more than you get. Today I wanted to give you a chance to think about who we are and what we do. And if you come to the workshop this afternoon, we'll have some chances to think about these things together and to do some events in a creative way that I hope will help you figure that out. Thank you very much for your